I'm Cameron.
And I'm Jordan.
Let's crash the mood. Alright, today we're going to be recapping and reviewing the year in television. We're going to be talking about shows we watched and kind of reviewing their seasons. Some of them had finales, most of them didn't. And, well, some of them had series finales. Most of them didn't, are going to continue on. We're going to look into like where we think they're going and how they did. And so let's get started. Jordan, you want to start with the big networks first?
Yeah. Shall we go alphabetical order or just kind of...
It doesn't matter. So let's go CBS, Big Bang Theory.
It's not alphabetical order.
No,
I'm joking. God. Okay.
It's been kind of like a really stable year. And also the finale kind of... Well, it's like the characters grew slowly instead of big jumps this year. And... there were funny episodes, funny moments. I don't think it was as good as some previous seasons. Yeah. What's your opinion?
I mean, it might not have been... I mean, it's pretty strong. I think it's definitely pretty high up there. Maybe not, as crazy as last season was. Because that really, picked up at some point, you know? But I do agree, it was pretty stable, it was pretty consistent. I mean, the show had some ups and downs, but, I mean, it's been trying to, actually... Not so much it advances the story kind of slowly while actually, developing the characters the same way. And I think they did a pretty good job of that. I mean, each and every character grew in some major way this season. And it is kind of revealed that Sheldon isn't a complete and total dick in the episode before the season finale, but then he's a complete and total asshole in the season finale. But it was two different, one was how he was acting to his girlfriend, and then in the season finale is just how he's acting overall, where the assholishness comes
in. Oh yeah, another thing, if you haven't watched any of these series, we're going to talk in spoilers. So.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's get into that real quick. What are some interesting parts of this season that you felt helped or hurt the show?
Oh, well, they got rid of for the most part, there was maybe an episode or two there with the Penny Leonard drama, which I think it was universally, everyone was annoyed by it now.
Yeah.
And so they've realized that and they've cut back on it?
Yeah. Because it's either have them together and growing for something or just keep them not in a relationship. Don't go back and forth. We've been doing that for how many seasons?
Yeah, and 6 or so, I was kind of worried about in the season finale with Leonard going off, thinking they were going to do the breakup thing and they were going to have to go through it all next season.
No, but they handled it really well.
And then, even at the last scene, where she's
comforting Raj, they're already going there? Are they going there?
I thought, Raj was going to kiss her or something.
It's oh, no, you can't have that Penny Raj drama again.
But yeah, I think they're starting to realize, they've realized that what people don't like, and they realize people are kind of tired of the Raj can't talk to women joke.
Yep, I was just going to bring that up, because they finally made him actually be able to talk without drinking, and it's about damn time. And, when notable during that episode, I felt they also didn't make as many, implied gay jokes.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of those.
Raj. It's okay, we get it. How he acts isn't conventional.
I think they've kind of finally realized, they've kind of made, Raj kind of the loser of the group. And I feel like they're finally bringing him back up. And hopefully they won't go for the easy jokes anymore, where it's he's kind of metrosexual and... he can't talk to women, because those are their go-to stuff for him.
Yeah, and they better not go back on the whole not talking to women, because it's he didn't even realize that he just got over that until, it was pointed out that he didn't drink. He's oh God. And I think that is cool, and maybe they will turn it around for him, because before that it was Howard was the loser of the group.
Well, they're not going back to that, because you saw him talking with
I know, I'm saying, I hope they don't change that, because, some people do some stupid things when they're making a TV show. But my thing is, so that is good, and maybe they won't make as many gay jokes, and maybe, they're taking a different direction for him. Because again, Howard was the loser before, but he was very good at being a loser. Raj, after a while, you couldn't even laugh at him being the loser. You're just kind of oh God, make that stop.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, I just want to say about Sheldon.
Yeah, the actual development there.
Yeah, it's it used to be he wasn't aware he was an asshole, but now he is aware. Which is kind of a step in the right direction, and he's aware that, before he didn't even consider the possibility of sex, but now he says maybe one day when I get there,
Yeah, because he's a slow process, and he's working towards that, and like she actually does make him consider it being a possibility, like Amy, and it's like that's actually really big because you don't really think of Sheldon as a creature who would actually consider having sex, and now he's thinking, oh maybe, and he actually was trying to comfort her while everyone else was like making the same joke, and I think they're trying to take that in a different direction too, like you were saying, like the same with jokes, because everyone make that joke is like, oh, Amy's with Sheldon, but Sheldon doesn't want to give her what she wants with that stuff.
But yeah, the thing is that still every relationship seems doomed because Sheldon doesn't seem like if they advance this character too far too fast, it wouldn't be true to the character.
Yeah.
But if they don't, then the relationship doesn't make sense. Because why would a woman stick around that long?
Well, in this case, I think it makes perfect sense. She's not really good at this. She's never had a boyfriend. She doesn't know that much about sex. She wants to experiment. She doesn't want to lose him. And yeah, it is possible that they'll make that relationship doomed, but she's going to be sticking around for a long while. And especially since he did say, he doesn't really rule it out. So even if they don't rush it, I think she will be there for a while. She might just get angrier.
Yeah. And I think that we were talking about this about why they do have it at the season finales, like have someone go away.
Yeah.
I think the reason they do it is because it gives them an easy first episode.
Yeah.
Because it gives them a comeback.
The
return episode. Where it's like, oh, they have to fit back into the group and, refigure out everyone's relationships and everything. And, yeah. So, it was a decent season.
Yeah.
Not the best season, I don't think. But
yeah. I mean, I'm glad they cut back on a lot of drama and focus more on the comedy spots again, So that's good.
Yeah, I think they're realizing like what works and what doesn't, and they need to cut out some of the running jokes that have been running too long.
Yeah, it's that time, and yeah.
Okay, so
it's pretty decent.
And
I was thinking if there was anything else I was gonna say about that. No, should have brought in more Will Wheaton. That guy is an asshole. He's funny. With that.
Wait, one character I didn't like was Roger's girlfriend. I didn't find her funny at all.
I was largely indifferent.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's my problem. Was like I was apathetic to her, like whether her and Roger can get together. I didn't find her particularly funny. I didn't hate her, but I didn't find her funny. So it's just like, might as well find him a girlfriend that's either one of the two. But anyway.
Yeah, I get that. But I mean, at the end of the day, we know what this was. She's a plot device.
Yeah.
More about her being a plot device than an actual character.
Yeah.
But I will say one more thing about Big Bang. You're doing a good job. Don't fuck it up. Yeah. All right. So,
continue with CBS. How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Had its season finale. And the big surprise there was the mother finally showed up.
Yeah. I mean. But after 8 seasons, like, why do we give a fuck?
Yeah, okay. So apparently the mother was actually. Do you remember the episode of 30 Rock where the woman was pretending to be like the blonde hair lady? She was pretending to be like the bubbly, childish girl, and then she that's actually that woman from the 30 Rocks episode.
Ah, yeah. Interesting.
So she does have comedic past. She's a Broadway trained actress.
So that could be interesting. I didn't pick up on that when I saw her. Like, she looked very different, but I mean that was the point. She looked different in 30 Rock episode.
Yeah, well, she purposely did that because she was being stalked or whatever.
Yeah, but so she went out of her way to look different. So I mean, when you mention it though, I could see like the face looking similar, just like different hair color and longer and some alterations. So I get that. But I mean, I wasn't expecting her to look that young either, though. Well, but it made sense. Yeah, she's just out of college.
Yeah,
she's like fresh. It's like, oh, way to go, Ted.
Robbing the cradle, man.
A little bit.
So, what did you think of the season? I thought it was a step up from the previous 2 seasons.
Honestly, I think it's a step up for like the last 3 or 4. Because I don't know. It felt like let's see.
The Zoe arc was the worst. Was the low point.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like it hasn't been really good since 2007. Honestly, I think like I mean, I personally held on because it wasn't bad either, and I wanted to see where it was going and what they would do, and could they bring it back? And I feel like they brought it back. But I personally, I think one of the reasons why I stopped getting enjoyment out of it is because, like, one, you know what the writer strike did to a lot of shows. I mean, it screwed a lot of things over. I mean, How I Met Your Mother was not one of those exceptions to that. And then after that, they didn't recover for a long time. They had no direction, and it's just like, okay. I know that the gimmick was ignored, and I thought that you should either just ignore the gimmick, even though your title has it, or you should have more focus on it if you're going to do that, instead of bringing it up every now and then when it's so convenient, because it made you not care. And I think one of the ways they dropped the ball was not having the mother come in earlier. It's like, yeah, they did references, and they said she was the roommate to a girl that he dated that was in his class that turned out to be a lesbian and all that good stuff. But I'm like, you could have done better. But I thought they brought it this season.
Yeah, they had some good episodes. I like the bachelor party episode.
Yeah.
With the reveal of, I forgot that guy's name.
I don't know.
I feel sorry for that guy.
He was the guy from Ralph Macchio.
Yeah.
Non-Ralph Macchio.
He was the true hero of Karate
Yeah,
Kid.
was it William something? Or
I forgot the guy's name.
I don't know.
Something Joey Lawrence, I think.
No. Right?
I think it was something Lawrence was the actor's name. But
I don't know.
I don't know. Whatever.
I know it wasn't Joey Lawrence. That was the dude that used to be on Blossom and had his own show with Melissa.
Okay, whatever. Who cares? That was a good episode.
Yeah, that was twist there.
That was actually a long running joke.
Yeah.
Of his, but
yeah, the true Karate Kid. Huh? But
I like that. They actually gave Marshall and Lily something to do this season instead of just being the parents.
Yeah, and then the way they ended that, it's like, fascinating. She has a job in Paris, and they were gonna move there, but then all of a sudden, Marshall, who had apparently put in a call to be, to be a judge, it's like,
from the previous episode.
Yeah, and
that was a decent episode too.
Yeah, and so it's like he actually does have, the ability to become a judge now.
And it's a decent reason not to go. So it's actually a good compliment, because she's going to Italy for a year, but that's his entire career.
And at the end of the day, he accepted it, so we'll see how that conflict plays out next season.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to talk about next season? Because there's big.
Let's talk about next season.
Okay, well, next season, the creators have basically, they haven't come out and said it, but what they basically said is a significant chunk, at least half the season, maybe even the entire season, is going to take place at the wedding, at Barney and Robin's wedding. So a significant portion of the season is going to be at their wedding, and so the conflicts that we talked about, like Marshall's thing, that's going to be played out over multiple episodes, and also whether Robin and Barney actually are going to get married, that's going to be played out over multiple episodes, and whether Ted's going to try to interfere, that's going to be played out over multiple episodes, and also the mother's going to be in those episodes, and she's going to meet all of them, and she's going to be interacting with them, and they're going to get to know her before she knows Ted.
Yeah, she's going to be in the wedding band.
And so I guess it's going to be like how the friends actually fall more for the mother before actually Ted meets her.
And they'll be like, oh my god, she's perfect for him. She is that much of a dick. But I don't know how I feel about that format. In many ways, it's about the only way you could pull it off. Because, this is about how he meets her, and it's like, if you did the whole season, like with a year being her, I don't know, I feel like that could drag on at the same time. It's like, I think that setting could be boring, even if there are going to be other places while they're leading up to the actual point where Barney and Robin get married, but I think they might run out of material at that rate. Well,
we've also kind of had those episodes where, like, Ted's getting to meet a girl before he marries her. Well, those are the Stella episodes, right?
Yeah.
And so wouldn't it just be a repeat of those kind of episodes where Ted's getting to know the girl and about to marry, and they're making their debating life decisions? I mean,
they could do that, but it's like it would be rehashing. But honestly, I might want to see that as opposed to a whole season where most of it's at the wedding.
Well, it's a big gamble, and
oh hell yeah,
it could work.
Well, I mean, to be fair, right? We were under the impression that this was going to be the last season in the first place, and then they're just like, they pulled it out of nowhere. It's like, hey, one more season.
I might be more confident if it was just half a season instead of a whole season.
But
they can pull it off.
Yeah, but that's not what they're going to do, and that makes you a little worried, all right?
And you seem, How Much Your Mother also has the advantage that they do a lot of flashbacks and flash forwards. So they can afford to like jump out of the wedding if they want to.
Yeah, they could.
And so if any show's going to pull it off, it's them. Because they can, if they want to, they could just have an entire episode at one table and they're talking about flashbacks or something. If they want to. And so, like, whereas another show, they're just stuck at the wedding. Because How I Met Your Mother plays so much of the time, they could jump in and out of the wedding if they wanted.
Yeah.
They could have a flash forward episode if they want. But,
Alright, then they better bring their S game.
I guess that's enough for how, you want to talk about 2.5 Men? I've just stopped watching series, because I'm done.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I get that. When I've watched it, like, I haven't really gone on my way to watch it. It's just like, sometimes after, I watch Big Bang, I end up going on and doing something. I need background noise. And so, I've been, pretty much, I've seen how it's been playing off since, like, the big Charlie Sheen switch. And I'm more fascinated than anything,
You're fascinated from, creative, how the creators are going to do this?
No.
Respect or what?
No, because I see how they're doing it, and they're doing a shitty job.
It's like a train wreck?
Yeah, it's a fucking train wreck, and I'm just curious to see when it will be done crashing. Because, no.
I think they got one more season. I think it's probably the last season, in my opinion.
Because, it's not like a full train wreck yet. I mean, we're not seeing the end results of the train wreck. We're seeing the train crash for a long time, and I'm just fascinated to see how and when it'll end and how much longer they can actually pull it off. Because, when you watch it, you don't really watch for the humor. Again, you kind of watch it when you need that something in the background, and you're just like, what are they actually doing? You don't really laugh at it anymore. You're just like, how do they keep on doing this? How much longer can they pull it off? How much more can they say, Alan's wacky, still living in a Malibu beach house, ha ha ha. Oh, Walden's looking for this girl, that girl, ha ha ha.
I think this goes back to the How I Met Your Mother, where it's like
what are they gonna do?
The reason they kept these two around for like extra years is because they don't have comedies to replace them. They don't have either, and so they have this last year to prop up some kind of comedies to find the new How I Met Your Mothers and the new 2.5 Men to replace them, and so they can get like a new series going that will last them another 5-10 years.
Yeah. And honestly though, I am curious how this is gonna end. I want to see just how spectacular this explosion will be. I would really quick want to talk about another one, and I don't really have much material on it, but like Two Broke Girls. I think they actually do have some funny moments in that show, and like I feel like I didn't see every single episode this season, but I felt like they're not trying as hard, and that really does help that show. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about that. Just that it seems like they are trying to get better and find their footing. Because they didn't know they know what they wanted to do, but they didn't really know what they wanted to do. It was kind of like How I Met Your Mother. They had a gimmick to start out with, but it's like, oh shit, what are we actually doing with this? If we don't get to the goal right away, what do we do in between? Yeah. So yeah. Right. That's about it for CBS, unless you had anything else.
No, well, just like CBS is still the biggest network on television. It's got the highest rated dramas and comedies with Big Bang Theory and like NCIS. They were actually going to make another NCIS thing, but they're trying to find some new stuff to keep it going, and I don't know. I guess let's move on to ABC.
Alright.
So Modern Family, Jordan. What did you think of the season? We're recording it right now. We're probably not going to post this until a couple weeks. But as we're recording right now, we haven't seen the season finale, so I don't know if there's going to be some kind of major twist or anything. But I don't see anything on the horizon.
I'll put it this way. Modern Family is very good at what it does. It plays it safe. Damn safe.
It's very consistent.
Yeah, and the type of humor that they use, it's pretty damn funny. It's not like you'll be laughing about it for years and years to come. It's not like you'll remember a lot about it. But, I felt this, the way I felt about this season is pretty much the same way I felt about most seasons.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was nice to watch. But nothing really stands out. It's just like, oh yeah, they're doing a good job.
It's just something that's enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah, you can watch it with anybody, I think, and most people will enjoy it. Because it's a very mainstream humor. It's not dark or anything. It's very safe and nice. And there's nothing really to say about the characters, because they haven't changed that much.
They really haven't.
There's been a couple things like Haley and the college thing, but that's not
major.
And they had the baby, but they don't really bring that up too much.
They really don't.
Except they brought it up earlier in the season, but they just stopped talking about it really. And
probably for the best.
and so yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. I guess in this finale they could have some twist, but they haven't. But I don't see anything coming. Like last year they had the. I think a couple years ago they. Last year's season finale they had Gloria being pregnant.
Yeah.
And so they might have something like that again. I don't know.
Well, see, here's the thing. If you have a twist in a show like Modern Family, it's going to be a very, very safe twist.
Yeah.
One that you probably didn't think about, but not one that they really set you up for either. You weren't like looking back and saying, oh my god, it all makes perfect sense, because it's something really mild, something that's really easy to overlook.
Yeah, so I guess that's all we can talk about with that.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a very safe show. It's good, it's enjoyable, and they know what they're doing. They want to, continue to draw in viewers, and it's like, well, I guess more power to them.
Alright, now let's talk about a show that it's canceled right now, Happy Endings. So some people are reporting that it might find a home on cable, kind of like how Cougar Town ended up on TBS. This might end up on USA or TBS again.
Yeah.
And but as of now, we have to treat it like the season finale was the series finale,
which is unfortunate because I don't think it got like a decent. I mean, like, the episode itself was really damn funny, but I don't think it was one of those conclusive season finales. And for a series finale, that would be even worse. It
was. I think they wanted to leave it open for future. It was obvious they weren't done with writing the show.
Yeah.
But it's just a show that's more from the first season. The first half of the first season was very mediocre, and then when they just stopped. It's like they screwed the networks and they just went full on crazy. That's when it became funny.
Yeah, and I know personally, I watched some episodes in the beginning. It didn't draw me in. It was boring. It was undeveloped. Didn't really know its footing. And honestly, that deterred me from watching it for quite a while. But, sometimes you need something to watch. So you find yourself in a weird place and it's like, oh, what the hell happened? This is a completely different show. Yeah, Why didn't they start with this?
I just stuck around with it. And then
you did. And it paid off.
And became something funny. I was like, this turned pretty hilarious. Like, they're just going insane here.
And I think that it excels at that. And I think it'd be unfortunate if it didn't. Go on, because there's so many shows that are kind of shitty and they're still going on. We had just talked about 2.5 Men. That is complete another shit right now. That is still going on. Why shouldn't the Happy Endings have that same treatment, It's actually good.
Yeah, and the thing is, ABC is just the ratings have gotten lower, but they've also, made it worse by just, moving it from night to night.
Yeah.
Doing a bunch of other stuff. I think if you include the online stuff, a lot more, the ratings would be higher than other shows, but, It's a good series. I think a lot of people were turned off by the first season.
And I can't really blame them there. I know I was. Because sometimes you don't feel like sticking around with that. I guess it was just lucky enough to get a second season and do something different in the last half of the first season that would spark viewers to want to see more. It's just too bad it didn't start with that. Because if you are sticking with something for a couple episodes, of course you're not going to want to, continue. You got to draw people in. I'm just glad that they changed it and they were able to get more people drawn in. It's just too bad that when they have their footing and now that they know what they're doing, they get canceled. So hopefully that will see a revival, though. I feel like they do have a lot more to tell. And what do you think about this season as a whole?
It was a good season. I'd say it's comparable to the season before that, from what I remember. I feel like the cast has a good chemistry, and I think that took a while to come to the light. The first season, at least the first half, they really didn't know what to do with God, I can't think of her name now. The blonde chick.
Oh.
Oh my God, I can't think of her name. I'm drawing a blank.
I know what you're talking about.
Alex.
Yeah.
And then they figure out what to do. If you watch the first episode, she wasn't as dumb or she wasn't funny at all. She had no personality. She was just the bland girlfriend character.
And now they really made her pop, because here it's she acts dumb a good portion of the time, but it's clear that she is intelligent in several episodes. if you like look carefully, it's like, ha.
And now she's one of the funniest characters on there.
I think she would be the funniest. Like, although like all of them are like pretty funny on some level though.
In some ways, like they've made the characters more cartoonish, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like they needed to go there.
They did,
and to make it different and more interesting and funny. But yeah, so I liked it. I've probably seen it. That's probably we've seen it for the last, but
I hope not. I hope it does get more of a chance. So it's like, hey, if I get more of a chance, maybe somebody else will too. But I liked it overall. Like, thought it was pretty damn funny. I was glad to see that it did develop that way.
all right.
Yeah. So we got another one.
Oh yeah,
That's your thing, man.
Yeah. Revenge. This is the soap opera, man.
I didn't expect that.
It's the primetime soap opera, man, basically, and well, you don't know, but it's basically the Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh yeah, I believe you mentioned that before.
It's basically kind of like the Count of Monte Cristo in TV format, but especially the first season. The problem with the second season is they've gotten away from the revenge part of it. But yeah, it's been a problem. And actually, the Count of Monte Cristo, I think, was actually serialized, so it kind of fits with TV. And they just later put into a book form. But like, yeah, the second season, it's gotten away from doing the revenge thing, and it's gotten to like this weird plot with like this thing called like the Initiative, and they do like terrorist acts, and you don't really understand why, and they're facing off like a hacker or something. It's gotten weird, and there's characters you don't care about, like this new like Irish whatever this dude or something, and yeah, there's been some good moments and stuff, but I think it's gotten a little convoluted. It's gotten away from the basic, like where the whole thing was like revenge against her, getting revenge for her father. You know, being like killed because he got framed for a terrorist plot, and so they don't know she's like this girl. But anyway, they got kind of away from that, and they got back to it more towards the end of the season, and they made some changes, like revealing her identity, her true identity, to other people that she's out for revenge, and that's going to be better for next season. But yeah, that's all I can really say. It's not. Yeah, it's the second season was worse than the first season.
Unfortunate.
Okay, so let's go to NBC.
All right. Let's start with Parks and Recs.
Parks and Rec. All right.
Well, okay. I'm gonna start by saying this is another one of those kind of relatively safe show. I mean, they've taken more risks in the last couple of years, I feel, but I mean, it's pretty damn safe. Like, it definitely has some pretty funny moments, but it's one of those shows that you just kind of watch it because it's on, or you wanted something to watch, or it's just on after the thing that you watched, or before the thing that you watched.
It's another one of those slice of life shows where people just enjoy it just to watch. They just want to watch these people's lives, and like, you know, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's not bust the gut funny, but it's like, it just has just enough humor in it, make it interesting. And I think this season was okay.
Yeah.
I think there definitely were some areas where they could have improved on, but overall not bad. It's just mediocre, I think. But I think that's the whole show, though, you know? It's just mediocre.
Well, things like with the first season of Parks and Rec, it was awful because what they were trying to do was make an Office clone.
Yeah. It was made by the same people.
Yeah. NBC basically just wanted an Office clone, and they tried to turn Leslie Knope into a Michael Scott clone. And it was just bad, and they kind of retooled it, and they just made it into like trying to make the characters more like each other more, and so it was more like a buddy, you know, enjoyable slice of life thing going on instead of, you know, this documentary Office thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll move on.
Yeah, I will say one more thing about that. I cannot stand like Leslie and was it Ben?
Oh, you don't like that Leslie and Ben?
No, I don't. No, I'm opposed to it just because they make him so annoying about it. You know?
I think that's part of the point.
Yeah, it is. They're supposed to be sickening, but But yeah, okay. Let's talk about Community. Oh my God, where do we begin?
Do you remember that okay, the big thing with Community was the creator for Community left, and I don't really. There are details about that, and it's changed. I think
noticeably.
Well, I'm not sure if it really changed. To be fair, I think more it stopped changing. Like, I think if you watch the first seasons in Community, there were good episodes, and then the last season before this one, there were some really classic good episodes, and then this season, it's like they stopped evolving. Like, each season they got better, and this one they regressed back to what they originally were. And actually got a little worse, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's like, I feel like it had that whole happy endings feel going to it, you know? Like, it didn't start off strong. Actually, a good portion of the first season sucked, and I didn't keep up with that. And I ended up getting into it later because they had changed. But, didn't feel like I missed a beat either. But I think there was a lot of good episodes last season, especially the video game one. That was
a classic episode.
Yeah. And this season, it started off okay. It had a couple good episodes here and there. It fucking sucked. And it went in a very, very different direction, and not for the better.
I think the problem was, it's like, it's kind of like goes back to Big Bang Theory. We were talking about running jokes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, there were certain things that are kind of funny, but they took them too far. Like Inspector Spacetime.
Yeah.
That was a weak episode for me. They had funny moments, but like, it's like, haha, they're making fun of Doctor Who and like parodying that and all that stuff. And then they kind of took it too far and they kept bringing it back because like, hey, people liked that before, we should keep doing it. And they kept doing that kind of thing for different stuff.
Definitely. And I don't think that's a good thing, like, always. And it also, like, some problems that we saw in the Big Bang. Okay, so they had the recurring jokes, and some of them were, just displayed to the point where you got sick of them. But it's also, like, certain drama elements. I think most of the issues with the drama here is that it's very, very superficial. It's just sort of, they feel like, oh shit, we needed to be doing something, and it's just like, oh god, it wasn't executed well at all.
I hate Ching now. He was actually funny during the first. He's actually one of the highlights during the first season, and he's just gotten annoying now. I hate when he's in the show.
The whole thing with Chang
Nisha.
They might overplay their hands with that too, and I just saw like this season the worst episode that I could think of, and that whole thing is just like a one where they were in a hot air balloon and they got stranded, and most of the show is told through them trying to confront what happened there because they took some crazy berries, and they're all like you see them as puppets and they're singing, and it's fucking awful. And, I mean, it's very serious and not good serious. Not the kind of serious you're like, oh, whoa, that is intense. It's the kind of like, wow, anything that could have made this episode interesting, you kind of killed. And now you're being serious and not in a good way, so you're kind of just making it worse. So they had stuff like that the whole season. I was just like, I kept on watching it, hoping that it'd get better, and it didn't. And, no. Mm-hmm. It didn't for the most part. The last episode wasn't awful. Like, maybe the last two episodes weren't that awful, but they weren't like what it used to be. And I don't know what to think about it having another season,
Alright.
Yeah, because I feel like it could have been final here.
I think they will right the ship. They'll look at what they did wrong, and hopefully they'll get better. Because I think there's germs of ideas there that are good. And so that tells me there's smart people there, and that they just kind of screwed up. They took things too far. They forgot, like, to make people laugh. They made jokes at the expense of, like we talked about in, like, our comedy podcast, like, podcasts where we were talking about, like, in my view, that you shouldn't make jokes at the expense of your characters. Like, they made Troy too stupid this season.
Yep.
And you couldn't believe that he would be in a relationship with Britta. And I know they eventually broke them up and everything, but...
Probably for that very reason.
but it's just like, when you take it too far, you ruin a character, and they kind of did that with Troy.
And Abed. Let's not forget about Abed. Like,
yeah, they don't need.
He's just annoying them.
They don't need to do the meta thing every episode.
It kind of lessens it, makes it less special. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's just hope it does get better. I don't even know if I'm gonna watch it though, so we'll see.
Okay, so let's move on to The Office, and we just watched the series finale.
A very long series finale.
75 minutes.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the season?
I actually liked it.
It was it was funny.
I mean, everyone was wondering how The Office was going to do after Steve Carell left. And I think it found its own footing. It became a different type of show. And honestly, Michael Scott was kind of annoying.
I think it took a season.
But it kind of wore thin.
I think it took a season for them to do it, though.
I mean, they had to find their footing, so. But once they did, I mean, I think it did take off.
But yeah, I think the best part, it got better once Andy left. And this season, especially. Because they made him the boss.
Yeah, that was weird. And
he didn't really fit as the boss. The humor where he tried to be like a new Michael Scott, that didn't work. And, so once he left for that vacation or whatever, and I think it really found a funny bone, and it got better. And they even kind of made a joke about that, like, hey, The Office is actually making more money now that you were away. We were more efficient. And it's kind of like making a meta joke about how the show was funnier. I don't know if this is what the writers are doing, but
I felt like, look, I don't know if it's just the character or how they felt about the actor, but it just felt like they were really digging in. It's like, damn, it's kind of like they went out of their way to make him a shitty character. Yeah.
I mean, he always had like villainous aspects, but it was never to that level where it's like, you're just a complete and utter asshole, like irredeemable almost.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie though. There was one episode where he did become so irredeemable, it was funny. I mean, he never gets his footing back, but I thought he worked better as that diabolical villain. And you never see more of that. You see him being like an incompetent villain, an imbecile. But the one episode where, Erin had broken up with him and, she was saying, oh yeah, it won't be awkward to work with people that you were in a relationship with. And then he finds,
their exes.
Yeah, he tracks down Gabe, who was one of her ex, and then like her new boyfriend, he finds her ex, and it's just like, it's so mind-bogglingly awkward, and it's just like, he played it so brilliantly, he's like, oh, but it's not awkward, right? I wish I had seen more of that if they were gonna go the evil route.
Yeah, it's trying completely villain.
Yeah, but they didn't. They just they try to fuse that stupid character with the villain, and it's just like, what you got was a stupid villain. It's like, why do you need that?
Well, I think they were trying to turn him. It was kind of a reference to the original Office, where the boss where Ricky Gervais played, he kind of becomes like a has-been reality guy who tries to. I think they're trying to make a reference to that and turn him like that. But
gotcha.
Yeah. I thought the finale was good.
Yeah. I think it wrapped it up really nicely how it is. I mean, some parts were obviously cliched, but not in an offensive manner,
No.
It's like, okay, it was decent. You kind of felt good about the characters, and they actually, suddenly screw almost out of nowhere, Well, it
was also a year later, too.
True.
So they
have a lot of time to grow and change, yeah.
A lot of comedies, they can't, because they're documentary, they were able to take advantage of that format to skip ahead. And I think a lot of comedies, sometimes they try to be too emotional, they forget the laughter part. But this actually has some funny stuff consistently throughout the episode.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I was very glad to see that. And I mean, it's my one thing with that show in general. My God, Jim and Pam fucking annoy me.
Funny.
Yeah, it's just, oh God, they overdo it.
I don't really mind them for in the first seasons.
It's not that bad, but once they really, really got together, it was obnoxious.
I didn't mind some of it. There's some stuff I didn't mind the wedding episodes, but I kind of mind. I didn't like the relationship drama thing they had going on.
Yeah, what was that about? With the sound guy?
Yeah.
What?
Okay, well the creator actually talked about that.
Oh God.
He said he had no intention of ever making the sound guy have an affair or anything. He just wanted. I guess he was just doing it so you'd think about the possibility of it. And so when they actually kind of reconciled, you felt relieved, and so that was his intention. That was his goal, was to like make you think of both possibilities, and so that when the happy ending actually, inevitably occurred, you felt a sense of relief and joy.
But see, here's the thing. It inevitably occurred. We all knew it was going to inevitably occur. So why should we feel relief when we knew that was going to be the outcome anyway? We knew she wasn't going to have an affair, and we knew they were going to reconcile their differences.
What was your
opinion? You have no investment in that whole drama there.
Okay, like the thing.
What's my opinion on
what was your opinion on the documentary? Like them, like being kind of meta and like introducing like the documentary crew into the show.
I thought it was weak. I didn't like it. I didn't. By this point, you kind of, even though you see them doing talking to the camera, you kind of forget what they were going for.
Yeah, kind of like Modern Family. Like, you don't think they're actually doing documentary stuff.
Yeah. And I think it's stronger when it's not like that. Although I do think, like, in the last episode, I didn't mind it so much.
Yeah, last episode, I was fine with them doing the panel and everything.
Yeah. Because, it's like after the fact, instead of saying, oh yeah, we're still doing this, what's going to happen, da-da-da-da-da.
I actually didn't mind them talking like, hey, the documentary is going to air and stuff. It actually didn't annoy me. The only thing that annoyed me was when they were talking, when the sound, was Brian, really. That was the major thing.
Yeah.
Other than that, I didn't actually mind the documentary stuff.
I didn't like it. I thought it was bland. But, okay, what about what you think, what do you think about some of the fates of the characters? I mean, did you like some of those? Like, and what did you like, what didn't you like? What did you think was appropriate?
I like Michael coming back, that he had, all his lines were perfect.
Yep, he had one more good, that's what she said. Right there.
And even the line to the camera where he's like, oh, these are all my, it's like seeing all my children growing up and marrying each other.
His dream.
That was like his character in a nutshell, like that line. So they got that right. Ryan and Kelly, I really didn't care, but it was like, these two A's deserve each other, so if they're gonna bring them back, do something stupid like that.
Oh my god, it was such a kick in the face, and then you can't even feel sorry about the dude because it's like, come on, you're with her. You knew.
Yeah, he knew
what you were getting into.
He was
kind of
excited.
What was going to happen when you were married. And he went inside.
Upset.
It's like, why would you go inside?
He wasn't too upset about it either.
No, he wasn't. He's like, you know what? Fuck it.
But
yeah. He's like, I'm sick of it anyway, whatever.
Creed had the awesome ending where he said one coherent thing and then he got taken away. Arrested.
Yeah, and it's like how, he's talking to the camera when it's happening, and then when they do cut away, you see that he's being arrested. And I just like how they, brought up his stuff, huh?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
Yeah, it was great. Go on.
Yeah, but one fact, how they talk about how he's in a band?
Yeah.
The actor's real name is Creed. And he was actually in a band.
That is amazing.
In that same band he mentioned. And so it's like he's playing himself, actually.
That's pretty damn awesome. I think that adds a little something extra to it. And I mean, I gotta say, Creed hadn't really had any unfunny part, And I think that's because they don't use him that much. They bring him in, he says something really insane, and it's funny. And even, what happened to him after the documentary is just great. Because, it's like, he gets, they're looking on a run, he faked his own death. I mean, he had sold weapons-grade LSD once upon a time. It's like, wow. And he's, hiding in the audience when they're doing the battle. Yeah. Living it off.
One thing, my favorite Creed moment is, when they were traveling on the bus, and he's hitchhiking, and he gets to the bus, and he's like, oh, crap.
It's just great, and I just like how they when they went back to the office, they discover that he's there, and he's got his clothes up and all stuff. He's like, yeah, it's like wow. So I mean, I think he ended his character great. They actually what about
I didn't care about Nelly.
Oh,
Dwight,
Nelly. Yeah,
don't care about.
Just my one thing about that. Yeah, I agreed.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Toby got kind of fitting, pathetic. He's pathetic at the end.
Yeah.
But even though he has a little moment where everyone's like, hey, come back to the office with us, which is kind of what he always wanted.
Yeah. No, that was nice of him.
Dwight,
I think it's just with his character, right? Yeah, you had the whole year, but it felt like he actually, I like how he did grow.
Yeah, he did grow.
But it's just one of those things where, even though, he did grow kind of gradually over the years, he is pretty much so consistently Dwight that this kind of was like, what the fuck are you going on, you know what I mean? But you saw why, because, he finally got the girl that he wanted, and, the child, and he finally got his position that he wanted. He got everything that he wanted.
You always knew he was good at paper stuff, so.
Yeah, and so he finally gets recognized for it.
And I also believe it was all they also made his relationship with Pam and Jim believable because like at least, especially over the last 3 seasons, they've kind of made them like call them like unspoken friends, and so it's like finally
coming to the light.
They actually say, "Hey, you're my friend." Like he stopped him from saying something stupid so he'd get fired. Like back down in Florida, there's been stuff that's built up to it, so I was fine with that.
Yeah, because at first it was like there was a lot of like enemy stuff going on. Then it was like kind of, well, at least with him and Jim, there was a lot of enemy stuff, and he was indifferent to Pam. Then he kind of like took a liking to Pam, and eventually became allies with Jim. And then they finally did go to that point that you were talking about. Unspoken friends, and then finally spoken. And I think that is nice. So they did a good job of showing that. How about Angela?
Oh, yeah, wait. One thing I liked about Dwight becoming manager. Remember, he would always say, "If I ever become manager, I'm firing you, Jim," and he got to do it.
Oh, you know what? He did. And you got to respect how they did it too, because this time, he fires him so that he gets a severance pay. It's like, damn. Because I did like how they handled that because, like, Jim was like, "Oh, let's end on a good note." And he's like, no. Severance pay. Right. He's like, the best I could do is, a month for every year you've been here. And it's just like, that's actually kind of awesome. He fired him so that him and Pam, he fired them so they can get the money. It's like, that's actually kind of awesome.
Angela? So you want to talk about Angela?
Yeah, let's talk about Angela for a bit. A lot about this season with her is unexpected. Obviously the ending of her relationship with the senator, that was kind of doomed from the start, but, some of the stuff that was afterwards,
Yeah, it's just like, it was more like, she didn't really change, I don't know.
Slightly more likable.
Well, I think she was humbled more by, like, being put down, like, being, like, shamed from the senator thing, and being poor for a while, and having to live with Oscar, and, like, and, she was kind of like super Christian, but she ended up making the gay Oscar like the godfather of her child,
which is interesting.
Which shows that how she's changed. But
well, yeah, and it is nice that she changed in a positive way with that because before, she had the super Christian thing going on, but she also married a guy who she didn't outright say she knew he was gay, but come on, she pretty much knew, and on top of that, she had an affair.
Yeah, so it's like, she got humbled and she changed.
Yeah, and by the way, with that affair business, I do like that even though Dwight is an ass, and even though he's wrong in having an affair with a married woman, he admits that they're not innocent. Like, the senator was a dick, and he had an affair with Oscar. 100%. But he's like, I know that has to be hard that, your husband is sleeping with a guy, and he had an affair, but he's like, we did that first. We had that affair first. And I'm like, he has a point. But my one thing with that is I didn't like the whole, like, the child angle. Cause, again, Dwight is an ass, but dear God, it's like, you're not gonna tell that dude that this is his son because you wanna make sure he marries you for you. That's kinda bitchy. That's the one thing I didn't like about her.
Yeah,
but not completely.
Yeah, it's kind of like, cause... Like,
not completely out of character.
Because, like, they wisely chose to just, like, not focus on that.
Yeah, which was good.
Because, like, if you keep focusing on it, you're just, it's going to keep coming up in your mind. And I just forgot about it, right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you knew that he knew. Which was what he was trying to prove, even though she kept on saying it wasn't. So that was good that they, eventually resolved it and that they got married, but...
also, like, Kevin got fitting in.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because they turned him into, like, a child man or something. Man-child or whatever. And so it was like, it doesn't make sense for him to be an accountant. And so, some guy working in a bar, that makes sense for him.
Yeah, it does. And it's just like, it is good that Dwight finally, fired him. He did what a lot of other people weren't willing to do. Yeah, and I like that they had a resolution at the end, because Dwight actually revealed that, he took a liking to him over the years, They were cool. It wasn't a personal thing. And you know what? Kevin got that. He knows he was horrible at his job.
Yeah, to be honest, they didn't really have that much interaction, so I'm not surprised there's no animosity, really.
Yeah, because it wasn't like a Jim and Dwight thing, so...
So, I think everyone had good resolutions.
Except for Oscar.
I
didn't like his resolution running for office. It's like, really?
He's always been kind of political.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't like his character, to be honest. But
so I guess that's kind of his revenge against the senator.
Yeah.
But,
so I mean, it's nice in that regard, but it's like, it was kind of weak. But he wasn't really a strong character to begin with, anyway.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of fitting. I mean, everyone had fitting stuff in there.
They did.
All the plots got resolved.
There was one that, I mean, it was a nice sort of ending, but kind of like, like it's Aaron. Like,
yeah, that's kind of too. I think they should just, maybe
too far.
Just have the mother.
Yeah.
Because
it's like, the mother and the father. It's like the mother was pushing it. The father kind of took it over.
Yeah, like I can see like the mother like watching the documentary on TV and deciding to look up her daughter, but yeah.
Yeah, overall, they handled that really well. And they went out with a bang.
Yeah, good episode. So I think it's going to be listed as one of the good finales out of all the TV series.
Yeah, and I mean, I have no idea what NBC's going to do with that, like, gone,
Yeah, they're kind of screwed.
We'll see.
Okay, so let's move on to Fox. Let's start with the Animation Domination Sunday.
Before we get to the good stuff, let's talk about Bob's Burgers first, actually.
Okay.
Let's get that out of the way. I want to get that out of the way.
I think we're kind of split on this.
Okay, yeah, we kind of are. Let's get into that and why. I mean, I have no animosity toward you about your split on that, but I feel like it is worth talking about.
I think Bob's Burgers is the new King of the Hill.
I think so.
Except for like the Bobby episodes aren't weak; they're actually good because the kids are actually funny. And
probably the strongest element.
Yeah, they're strong. They actually strengthen the episodes. They're funny, and I think it's a good show. I think it can have its weak episodes. I think it can be pretty entertaining, especially when the kids go crazy. And I think I think probably the weakest character probably is the mother. But it's a pretty entertaining, decent show. It's not I don't think it's a great show, but I think it's a good show.
I wouldn't call it a bad show, so I'll say that much. Like, it's one of those shows where I saw it, I gave it a chance, it made me want to see more. And then less. I think I was watching it too consistently.
Okay.
I think it's one of those shows where you watch it every now and then, but watching it consistently kind of makes me not like it.
Okay.
I mean, and again, that doesn't really say whether, it's a bad show or not. It's just like, some things I did enjoy, and probably the episodes that focus on the kids were the strongest. And then some things I just, didn't. And I think, stuff that I didn't enjoy kind of overtook it after a while. But, I mean, it's one of those shows I don't feel like watching it anymore.
Alright.
Not much to say about that.
Family. Let's talk about Family Guy.
Family Guy. Okay. Oh my God. What to say about that?
Was there even a memorable episode this season?
No.
Because I think sometimes was there a time travel episode or I don't know. Because usually those are the only episodes I really enjoy.
I don't think there was a time travel one this time.
Or some dimension thing. There might have been. Yeah, I think there was one where they're going back in time. Whereas everything's reversing time.
Yeah, but that's
that one was not
weak. Not the same kind of format as the greater ones were.
The season's interchangeable with any of the previous 4 or 5.
And I think that is highlighted and accentuated a little bit more this season because I feel like with Family Guy, right? There'd be episodes that are kind of funny, and then some that just really aren't. I feel like when they got it right this season, they really did. So that kind of Family Guy dynamic is highlighted because they've had some really funny ones, not memorable, mind you, but funny. And you can actually see them putting effort into it again. And then the ones that they didn't put any effort into it, it was very visible. So it's okay, it had some hits, it had some misses.
Yeah.
Status quo.
All right, so American Dad.
I like this season.
I think it was better than last season.
Yeah, last season I'm not sure what was going on.
Last season was forgettable. It may have 1 or 2 decent episodes. This season was a step forward. It was more of a step back on the road to being good.
Yeah, I feel like since 2010 it hadn't been right.
It introduced a serialized plot of wow, what's that guy's name? Oh my God, Jeff being on the alien, being kicked onto Roger's alien ship and now he has to space travel to find his way back home. And that was an interesting episode.
It was so surreal. So very surreal.
Yeah, they took a gamble on that one. I think it paid off.
I think it did. Yeah, overall, it's definitely an improvement. I'm glad to see that, because I was like, oh no, is this going completely downhill or will they save it, And only time will tell.
Yeah, I think, it's weird. I think the Jeff one should probably been the season finale, but,
Yeah, probably. Like, the season finale they did have didn't feel like a season finale. It felt like, like a middle of the season sort of thing,
Yeah. So I'm hoping the Jeff thing, they'll go back to that every now and then and there'll be a funny episode.
Yeah. I hope they don't forget about, like, the golden shit.
I think they resolved that.
They sort of resolved it. Because remember they brought it into like the Rapture Delight episode,
yeah.
And it's like, but the continuity of that episode is really debatable. So it's like it's hard to say about that. And hopefully they'll get back to Mind Quad. That's awesome. Mind Quad. But yeah, okay. So not a lot more to say about that. What do we have?
Okay. I'll talk about a show I liked.
And that I mean to check out someday, because it does sound interesting.
Alright, so Fringe had its half season, and it ended mid-year, so I'll talk about it now. Mid-season. And so, the last season is different from the previous seasons, in that it takes place entirely in the future, I don't want to spoil stuff for you, Drew. So it's just like under a totalitarian state. And so it's more like they're fighting as revolutionaries. And the finale was awesome. I really liked the finale. There were some episodes midway that were a couple things got repetitive. It was a decent season overall. Though it was better than the previous season. And it was a good series. And it, like, seasons 2 and 3 were awesome. And I hope there's more series like it, because I like sci-fi like this. And, and it dealt with some interesting plots like alternate dimensions and time travel and being removed from reality and different shit, experimentation and genetics and different crazy shit, and they could deal with all that. Probably the one thing they weren't able to deal with was like aliens or something, but
that's unfortunate. You think if you'd be able to deal with the other ones, you'd be able to deal with that.
But it was an interesting series, and it started off kind of like just being like an episode of the week thing, and it turned into more of a serialized sci-fi thing, and it just became really interesting and had some good twists and plot stuff, and yeah, it's gone. So hopefully there'll be more series like it. I think I see a couple series that might have that kind of feel in the works, but I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Yeah. All right. Actually, I think what I will mention is one show that I watch on a different network, and then we can go on to FX.
All right. We can talk about that.
Yeah. So, the game.
Yeah, Jordan, you watched the game.
I do watch the game.
I just want to put that out there. You watched the game.
You know what? And I am not ashamed of it. I'm kind of ashamed that it's on BET, but that's a whole nother issue altogether.
You watched the game, Jordan.
I do watch the game.
I'm going to keep saying that.
I don't care.
You watched the game.
Shit, I've seen some of the stuff when it was on CW, so what? But see, like back then when it was on CW, it was meant to be more of a comedy drama thing, and there was a whole issue with the whole, we want to get rid of pretty much all of our comedies. So it ended up later getting picked up by BET, and honestly, it's not a bad show. It's entertaining, and one of the few black shows out there, so I mean, that's always something, and it doesn't portray everyone in a horrible light, and they got some funny things here and there, but it has become more about the drama. And so I've been keeping up with that, like, relatively kind of like on and off, just like, when I happen to catch it. And this season I did try to go out of my way to see what it's become, because they lost like two of the major characters. They wrote them out the show because they were sick of their relationship drama. But I do think there was a misstep there because now they have two new people, and yeah, they have new relationship drama, but it's still relationship drama. So I think it's an interesting show. It's about like football players and the people in their lives and all that.
Okay, would it make sense for characters to leave pretty regularly? Because football,
yeah, it would be, but they haven't really used that to their advantage.
Because football is kind of a sport where you only last like 3 years. A lot of people.
Yeah, and I think that is pretty regular, and they gave them the perfect write-off. Like one of the main characters, they had him switch to Baltimore, which worked pretty well because his wife, she finally achieved her dream of becoming a doctor, and she went to Johns Hopkins. And the interesting part is, it is oddly enough a spinoff of Girlfriends, which I never really watched, but she was the cousin of somebody in there.
Girlfriends.
Oh God. But so I mean, as you want to know, though, even though like she was the major focus and she was the reason why the show existed, I mean, the show really wasn't about her at the end of the day. It's become more about like another character, like that's the mother of somebody who is one of the main characters, but not really a character, just like a archetype, stereotype. But one of the things that I did find interesting is they deal with like some of the stuff, like after you play. Like one of the characters who was complete ass, like he ends up being like a sports announcer, and then he ends up going back and trying to make it as like an older man. And another one, like he realizes his time in the sun isn't going to last much longer. He's 30 something. He's going to be pushing 40 before he knows it. And he has to do something different. His initial idea was just like this crazy, like, how Hooter has let's mix sexuality with food. He had that whole gimmick, and the thing is, he actually did get the sponsors he wanted, but he was like actually growing as a character and decided this might not be the best idea, so he's trying to do something different.
I find it interesting that you're watching the show and not me, because I actually like football.
Yeah, how does that work? Because they actually do some interesting stuff with football in there. And it's funny how it works. A little ironic.
Interesting stuff with football. I don't think you're qualified to say.
Actually, I'm more qualified than you think. It was just like I don't follow it that much because I don't like watching sports. I don't mind playing them every now and then, or even talking about them every now and then. I don't like watching them.
Who's the NFC East champion this year, Jordan? Okay.
I don't care about that stuff. I made it clear. But my thing is, like, if I do watch a game here and there, it's like it's not a problem. It's just like I'm not a big fan of watching stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, the show I actually do like. And they do some nice stuff with that, believe it or not. And I do think it is a nice nod to actually see what happens when you're done with your career. I mean, what do you do when you're used up? Because it is a field where, your body is your meal ticket. And the way they view that is your body's going to fail you sooner or later. So you got to do something after it. And some people, their money dries up, so they deal with stuff like that.
I'm kind of curious, like, have they talked about the concussion issue?
No, at least not this season.
Okay, because that's becoming a bigger issue in football. Where they're talking about like a lot of these guys are like losing their memory. Like there's a big because of like repeated hits, they're like having like there's like the brains are taking more damage than they previously thought. And so they think there's a lot of like mental problems later on, and some people believe that this may have contributed maybe directly, or even like indirectly, or maybe even directly to some guys' suicides and stuff. And so they're thinking like maybe like football, there's gonna be more lawsuits and stuff, and so insurance premiums are going up, and so maybe even the game won't even be around in 20 years. So this is like a big issue going on in football. So I was just kind of curious.
It's nothing that they, like, I mean, in the past they talk about, injuries and stuff like that, but usually in a joking manner, or if it wasn't about the concussion stuff. I think that's probably something they could do for a future episode, because they've already ended the season right now. They already had that stuff filmed, so they might go to that.
Well, there's a series that I think's kind of maybe similar to that, like you heard Necessary Roughness on USA? Where it's kind of like, she's like a I only watched like one episode, but she's kind of like a psychiatrist for the football team or whatever. And so they kind of deal with those issues and like different football issues and stuff. And so like, I guess that's kind of similar, except for it's less comedy, more of a drama. It's just a drama, focuses on that stuff.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's the road that the game is headed down, more of a drama. It's not, they don't do a horrible job at it, and there is a focus on like one of the football moms actually getting into her own profession. Her relationship drama aside, he's an entertaining character. So yeah, I watched the game and I don't mind it. I am curious to see where they are going to go with it now. You know?
Yeah, Jordan, you watched the game.
I do. Oh wow.
We spent too much time talking about the game.
Maybe a little bit, but either way. So now we got that out of the way. Let's talk about FX. But let's not start with the strong stuff. Let's end on the strong stuff.
Okay. Well, you know, I'll talk about a show that I watched this year.
That.
Yeah, The Americans.
All right, let's go for it.
I've been watching this year, and I watched pretty much all the episodes, and it's a show just you don't know what it's about. I don't think.
From what I gleaned, anyway, it's just some spy shit.
Okay, it's about a couple, and it's about a couple who are actually Soviet sleeper cells. Like they're Soviet sleeper agents, and so they're spies. They're Soviet spies, but they're pretending to be an American family. Like their children think they're just American parents, but they're really Soviet spies. And it takes place in the 80s. You know, so the height of the Cold War, and, you know, like Reagan administration, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, the Soviet Union's starting to crack, and it's going to collapse in like 10 years, but they don't know that. And they're still fighting tooth and nail. And it's like, and they also live across the street from a U.S. counterintelligence agent, FBI agent. And so it's kind of like about the spy games they play, and, you know, betrayals and all that stuff, and it's a decent show. It can be slow at times. It's one of those dramas like me get slow sometimes. It has some interesting characters, like the girl who used to play Felicity but is now grown up into. Was that show Felicity? I'm thinking the right show. You know, the girl with the curly hair.
Yeah. It's Felicity.
Yeah. I think that was her. I'm right.
Probably you know better than I would.
Anyway,
show.
She's playing this. She's playing like the mother who's a Soviet spy. So she's an interesting character because she's pretty ruthless and cold.
Yeah.
And
always fun.
Yeah, and whereas like her husband's kind of like more the planner and he's more hesitant and more skeptical about their mission and stuff, and so there's that kind of conflict. But they're both, it's kind of like their personal lives, because they weren't actually a couple when they went there. They were forced to be a couple and pretend to be a couple when they were sent over.
Yeah,
and so they kind of have to deal with that fact that they weren't actually, that they were forced into this arranged marriage to be a spy, to be a couple. And like the FBI agent's kind of dealing with who's his own thing. He doesn't know that they're spies. His neighbors are spies, and he's trying to figure out who these agents are, who they're screwing around with, you know, around Washington D.C. And he has his own problems where he's sleeping with one of his informants in the Russian embassy.
Ooh.
And so there's that whole thing. And like you see, a lot of the episodes are like spy of the week stuff. But there's like stuff that comes back later, where like spies, they like recruit later, come back in the finale, or come back to betray them, or stuff that comes back later. And it's a short, it's only like, they only have like 13 or 10 episodes or something. So short enough to get into, but it's alright series. I wouldn't say it's like fantastic. It's alright series. If you like the spy stuff, and if you're kind of like nostalgic for the 80s, and you're like, oh, there's that thing. Oh, haha, they're talking about like floppy disk or whatever. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool though. Doesn't sound bad. Just like I never went on my way to watch it. Not like because I thought it was a bad idea. I just like, never really came up.
Oh, I know another series I want to talk about. Southland. And it got canceled.
Huh. And
it got good this year.
That's unfortunate.
It used to be on network TV, but it got moved to TNT.
And they like canceled it?
Yeah, it's over. Because I mean, it originally got canceled on NBC, I think, and then it got moved to TNT, and that's when it became good series, because then they have to worry about network stuff.
Yeah.
And so it got good, like characters that were originally kind of idealistic, they become corrupt, actually like corrupt cops and shit, and like they betray their partners and shit, and they become some corrupt cops, and like a guy gets kidnapped, his partner gets killed and tortured, he gets tortured, so that was
got crazy, apparently.
Yeah. And it ends with, like, somebody getting shot, and you don't know whether they die or not. But anyway.
Oh, that's gotta suck, that part.
Yeah. But that series is over. Both series.
And real quick though, I will say this: Regina King is in that, and she's like in everything. She plays on the Boondocks.
Yeah.
She gets work.
So she acted pretty well, even though I found kind of like the baby drama kind of annoying.
Oh yeah, it usually is. That's cool.
They going.
Okay, so the rest of what we're going to talk about, and some will be shorter discussions than others, are mostly comedies on FX. Which, by the way, the Americans, that is one of the few dramas I'm aware of on there.
There's a fair share of dramas.
None that I really pay attention to.
Yeah, I know you do.
No, seriously. I never really see, or they never really stick with me, It's mostly the movies and comedies that stick out there. Well, alright, so, let's start with...
Legit?
Legit, yeah, okay.
We started watching this series this year, mostly because it was after Archer.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the entire reason.
It was pretty funny, because...
Surprisingly so.
Yeah, it's got good writing, they don't try to turn anyone to, this person's a good guy, this person's bad. Everyone's kind of have their own dickish, selfish moves.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's pretty interesting,
Yeah, even the cripple is kind of a dick,
Yeah.
And I think that's good that, they didn't make the cripple some really likable guy. They made him entertaining and maybe more likable than the other character, but he's an ass, just like that. And that was one of the things that they're trying to get across. He's like, hey, I might be a cripple, but I'm still me.
I think it's actually, it's based on this comedian's real life, and I think he actually has, a crippled best friend or something.
Yeah. They made him, essentially irredeemable in every way.
People still use the word crippled? I feel more like disabled.
Crippled, disabled, whatever. We know what we meant. Fuck PC. I don't care. But yeah, I guess disabled would be the more politically correct term.
I'm not even thinking about politically correct. I'm just thinking about common usage. You know what I'm saying? I'm not thinking about this is PC or not.
No,
I'm thinking about more common use. I don't hear people say there goes a cripple. I hear people no, he's disabled.
I think that does factor a little bit, the PC part, being politically correct into it, but I hear you. Yeah, you do get a little, disabled a little bit more than you used to, Growing up, we heard crippled way more than disabled.
But, yeah. So, it's based on the guy Jim Jeffries, the comedian. Yeah. He's Australian. And one thing I didn't buy was him getting all the girls.
Oh yeah, that is completely contrived. It's no fucking way.
Okay, watch in real life he does.
No, I'm sorry. No, it's not allowed. It's a lot of universe. I don't care how funny you are. Can't happen.
I'm just telling you. He's a comedian with a TV show. He's getting laid.
Not by those quality women? No fucking way.
He's a comedian with a TV show in an Australian accent. He's getting laid.
Don't make this plausible. Don't make this plausible at all. Oh yeah, they do make it a bit over top in episodes though, because he's a complete and total asshole to these women, and they still come back for more. Okay, wait, that does happen in real life. Damn. But, you know what I mean? though. It's it's too really obviously comedic levels. It's wow. And the one dude though, his best friend though, is just he's bland.
Yeah, I feel like they could have got anyone for that role.
Yeah, they could have.
Because it's just I'm divorced, and I'm a loser, and I'm kind of just hanging on your coattails.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you're an interesting guy, and I'm not, kind of thing. And I feel like they could have gotten a lot of people to play that role.
Yeah. And I think the character itself, he knows that kind of in a weird way. It's I'm bland. You need a bland guy in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so overall, not horrible. Not something you really go out of your way to see, but for something that's following up some other show, it's okay, why not? Check it out. Okay, it's always sunny in Philadelphia. Okay.
I've stopped watching this show.
Yeah, maybe for the best. This season was just awful. Just awful.
I've gotten bored with it.
I think the people themselves involved in it have gotten bored with it, and that they don't know what to do with it anymore. Because before, right, they were crazy, they brought some passion to their roles, and I feel like now it's just they've gotten so used to these roles that there's nothing interesting about it anymore.
Well, I feel like I've seen everything they can do horrible.
I think that, yeah, they know that too, and it has gotten to the point where in several of the episodes this season, they make a lot of callbacks to a lot of seasons to the point where even in the show they mentioned that, hey, haven't we done this before? You know, they were kind of hinging their season on that logic.
I feel like they need some kind of shake-up. Like
but what can they do?
It's either some new kind of character that shakes up the dynamic, or some setting change or format change, or they need to up the ante on the horrible stuff they do, or change the kind of jokes they do, or something.
Oh yeah, agreed. It's just like, I'm not sure how they're gonna pull themselves out of that, because I don't think a new character will really work so well, because most of the characters end up just like, oh, okay, yeah, they're defined by their crazy interactions. After a while, it's like, is any character gonna have some new refreshing crazy interaction, or is it gonna be the same shit?
Well, they brought in Danny DeVito later. So.
Yeah, but he didn't really add that much to the show, in my opinion. I know a lot of people will fight me on that, but I mean, no, he added something different for sure. But it's just like after a while, it became the same.
Okay.
Because when he was introduced, he was a very different character. Like, he was more of a straight man. He wasn't completely horrible. He was horrible, don't get me wrong, but he had some differences.
Well, he needed to become horrible. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense why he's sticking around.
True. But I mean, I thought it was interesting when he wasn't completely that bad. But now he's just kind of there, and his relationship with Charlie just awkward. And I do wish they did do some more funny stuff. Now it's just like, it's dying. You can see it dying. And I actually saw like an older episode that just really made me laugh, and I wish they did more things like that. Maybe not like, the exact type of joke, but just more kind of what the fuck, you didn't even think about it kind of jokes. And it's like where they didn't really set you up. I mean, like, they had an idea from the get-go, maybe, that you could see them. Like, it was the Ronald McDonald thing. Yeah. And that was funny. It's like Mac's actual name is Ronald McDonald. It's why they call him Mac. It's like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's just like, you don't see like that kind of joke come up.
You don't see it anymore, and it's disappointing. I think one of the highlights of the season, though, was actually seeing Charlie being diabolical again, but the way they did it was disappointing because they won't let him get over the waitress, and it's just, that is depressing. But it's just like, he was, there was a kind of, Cruel Intentions vibe going on in one of the episodes earlier on, and they kind of killed that because, Charlie, I like that they flipped the tables. Like, he was just screwing with the girl, and she had actually fallen for him after screwing with him, and they messed it up by the waitress thing. But anyway, there wasn't really that many highlights. The other thing was like, when they let Dennis go off the chain, that was funny. But they made it pretty tame, pretty boring. So let's go on.
Alright, so, The League?
Yes, The League.
Awesome series. They had some good stuff, Chalupa Batman.
Yeah.
It was, I feel like they've got like good running jokes and good characters like Taco.
His whole thing is what the fuck. That's our vibe going for him. It's like, and he's pretty consistently funny, and one character that is funny pretty much consistently through his appearances, but his appearances will just make you feel dirty all over. It's just Rafi. He's never not been funny, but you're like, you can't take too much. I'm like, oh god, oh god, oh god.
Yeah. You can't take. Oh god. It's like, he wants to kiss have sex with his own sister.
He's kissed her, and she hasn't been bothered by it, and that's disturbing.
Oh, okay.
And he implies that, maybe that kid, her kid, is maybe his in some way, or he's going to take the kid for his.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Absolutely. It's like, you don't really get sick of the humor. It's just like, for your own sake, you're like, oh god, okay, Rafi, go away for a little bit. Just let us have some time to absorb this.
Yeah, there's some good episodes. I like the one where they're tailgating and those guys are just douches.
Yeah. More of assholes than the main characters, and that's saying something.
It's like you're actually rooting for the main characters because these guys are such assholes. Like, so much more assholes.
Oh yeah, then the introduction of the Giamatti sister, and it's like, oh god.
The body sister.
Yeah, she's either on par with him or worse.
I think she's kind of worse.
Yeah, and it's like Pete was in love with her. It's like, what is wrong with you? And then oh my god, the season finale is just got to end it with a bang, and it's just poor Andre. I mean, actually no, you can't really feel sympathetic for him because he's an ass. But it's just like, I think
she was allergic to his fur.
Yeah, it's just like you feel bad about the situation. He finally finds someone who's as much of an asshole as he is and wants the same things in life. Like, he actually does find the perfect person for him, and it turns out she wasn't stringing him along just for the money. They're actually legitimately pretentious assholes. And then they finally, like, just have sex, and as you pointed out, she's allergic to his sperm. It's like, oh my gosh, she broke out in hives, and it's like, pretty much kills the idea of them having children old-fashioned way. It's like, what do they do with that? What do you do when you know that you can't have sex like that? What do you do? It's just like, and they ended crazy, and it's just like, the season was pretty consistently funny. The show's been pretty consistently funny. The fear porn. But yeah, so
it's how I imagine like Seinfeld would be if they were in today's
more modern Seinfeld.
You know, cable, but
yeah, because it is kind of like a show about nothing. I mean, it's about fantasy football, but it's like
fantasy football is more like the thing that ties them together. It's kind of like,
but it's not really about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I get all the football references and stuff. Like oh, Adrian Peterson, like I know him, but like it's like, so yeah, if you're a football fan, you'll like it. Yeah, but it's for anybody. It's like you don't need to know paper to.
You don't. You can enjoy that, and it'll be fun. But real quick, you bring up the football stuff, and it's like they actually have had a lot of football players on there.
A lot of cameos.
Like, how the hell? Good for them.
they get a decent amount of cameos.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Brooks even had the 1 year the Super Bowl Shuffle.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
Which is a reference to the Shiva Bowl Shuffle. The Super Bowl Shuffle was the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, so it's been pretty crazy. And in addition to the football players they've had a lot of like just crazy guest stars from around history. I mean, they had one with Jeff Goldblum and Sarah Silverman, and it's like, what? Yeah, so overall, that's pretty good. And okay, let's talk about Archer.
So this is our last one.
Yeah, so our last one that we're gonna talk about.
Okay, so Archer, it's become one of the funnier shows on TV.
Yeah. Danger Zone.
Danger Zone. I think some of the episodes earlier were kind of weaker than.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the kind of week where it's not even bad. Like, its weak episodes are pretty damn funny. It's just like when compared to the rest of the series, it has weak moments.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, what did you think about this season?
I think it wasn't as good as last season, but it was still good.
Okay.
Do you agree with me on that, or do you think the season was better than last season?
I wouldn't say better. I would say it didn't drop too much in quality.
It was comparable.
I think it was more even than horrible. Okay. But
no, I'm not saying it was horrible. I'm just saying.
Oh no,
I don't think
by comparison. Yeah.
I think it was slightly less good as last season.
Well, I think maybe overall, just if not because last season. I didn't really find a weak episode. I found a couple weak episodes here, like, compared to the strong ones, you know. But I will say this: I felt like it had a stronger season finale. I feel like they kind of dropped the ball last season. Like, by no means was the season finale of the third season horrible, but comparatively, it's just like it was weak, and it was like in space. It's like, how do you mess that up? And I think this, like, the rest of that season was so strong, you noticed.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, the season finale was like a tribute to C-Lab.
Yeah.
And I never really got into that series.
Yeah.
I never watched it, really.
It wasn't good.
Okay, I never watched it. Some people really like it. I think, like, this one, he took a lot of ideas probably from C-Lab 21, but he tamed it down. Because I think they, like, died every episode or something. That was the running gag. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like, John, I think they had like some cameos from people on the final episode.
Yeah, and I find it really funny that with the first season of the first episode of the fourth season is about, you know, Bob's Burgers. And it's brilliantly done, by the way, you know. And in that one, right, they had Bob's kids, but they don't actually speak, but you get two of the kids speaking in the season finale.
Yeah, it's different
characters. Yeah. And by the way, that was a great opening. It's just, they handled it so well. I mean, I know a lot of people who don't actually watch Bob's Burgers, so they didn't get it. They're like, what was going on? They thought it was hilarious, but I'm like, oh no, you have no idea how hilarious and well done this is. Let me tell you why. So, I mean, overall, it was pretty good. And I think, like, it's been pretty strong and it's gotten stronger. I mean, I think, like, this season, like, I thought it was pretty even. But it's just like, now that you mentioned, there's just so much insanity in that third season. I mean, they upped their game. And I think for the most part they've lived up to that. And I hope that the 5th season does not, deteriorate.
Yeah, one thing, I don't know what they're doing with Alana being pregnant.
Oh yeah, that was kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah,
you didn't see any signs of it.
Well, they were hinting that she was going to do something with Cyril. She was going to ask him about something. So I guess maybe she was going to ask him to be a donor.
And that's why, she's like, oh, that rules him out. And she said the same, with Archer. But you thought that she's talking about the relationship.
Like, she's asking to marry
sperm donor, yeah.
But,
So, that was a little out of nowhere. But, and of course, Krieger, still funny. Yeah. Consistently funny.
I'll be curious to see who the donor is.
Yeah.
I guess that'll be a running thing, another plot line, wondering who the father is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was, entertaining.
Very much so.
And, so I guess we'll have to wait to see for a while.
Yeah, because they do just that once a year, so that'll be disappointing, but so far it is, like you said it well. It is one of the funniest shows out there right now. And I think it will actually continue to be so, because right in the beginning, they were kind of looking for their footing, and it's still funny. It's kind of run-of-the-mill, but funny. And then they just kind of got crazier and crazier as time went on. And they actually do pay a good amount of attention to its own plot, even though that's kind of all over the place sometimes, so that's nice.
So what'd you think of this year in TV?
This year?
Just overall.
Well, again, shows like Archer, that gives me hope for that sort of stuff, because that's funny. But overall, I think it was better than last year before. I think, it's not as good as some other years, but it's certainly some improvement, because I felt like when a writer's strike hit, it did affect a lot, and a lot of shows did not pick steam up right away, and some of them still haven't. And some new shows have come, some haven't been funny, some have. I feel like it was kind of like a hopeful year. It's like, hey, we can be good again. Let's show that.
I think it was a good year for shows to right themselves that had previously faltered. I think it was not a good year for new shows, and a lot of them were canceled, and a lot of them didn't find their footing, and a lot of them are no longer here. I think something like 20-something comedies premiere on network TV, and only a few are still around for next season. And that's not a good sign.
No, it's not. You have a point there, and on top of that, they keep on bringing out new shows that I don't think will really last, like a really crazy mid-season replacement. Really, it's at the end of the season, so I don't know. Let's say that, I guess summer shows, they brought in the Parent Show. How to Live with Your Parents for the Rest of Your Life. I don't think that's going to last. I don't think Family Tools is going to last.
Well, if they're bringing these shows out now, they're
not meant to last.
They're just meant to fill in.
Yeah.
If you notice, I think out of all the shows we talked about, I think the only new shows were Legit and The Americans, and all the other shows had previous seasons.
So they did.
And I found that interesting that we didn't really find a new show that we hooked onto this year.
There wasn't any that really grabbed you in and made you want to watch.
So that might not be a good sign. So, yeah, hopefully this next year will be the season, because I feel like there was a time around 2008 or something, or was it 2005, 2008, where we got a lot of new shows that we hooked onto. And then, and then a couple of years ago, there was new shows on cable that we hooked onto. And now hopefully this season, maybe there should be some more new shows, with a lot of shows ending, like How Much Your Mother's going to end, Happy Endings is gone, Parks and Rec is probably going to end after this season.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't have
Comedies probably going to end. Yeah. Office is going to end.
The Office did end.
Yeah, The Office ended. Fringe ended for me. So yeah, I'm not sure where we're gonna find new shows and stuff, but
okay. So I guess overall though, right? It's a good year for shows that we were already watching, but maybe kind of bleak for new ones.
Yeah, I think overall shows, they were either consistent or they got slightly better, but not so good year for new shows.
Yeah.
Alright, that's fair.
Yeah, okay. So, you have anything else to say?
No, so this is the Year in TV, and I'm Cameron.
And I'm Jordan.
This was Crash the Moat.